Monday, everyone. I don't know if it's happy, but it is Monday. My name is Brandon Rosa, and welcome to episode 259 of the Xbox in 10 podcast, your weekly source of Xbox gaming news covered in around 10 minutes. Every Monday, this podcast covers new game releases, the previous week's gaming news, and we all learn an Xbox-related fun fact together. This show is on YouTube and podcast services around the world, so please do me a favor if you like the show, subscribe on your favorite, and then leave a positive review. Xboxin10.com, no numbers, is your quick source for links to all of our podcast destinations and social media profiles, which you can follow at Xboxin10. To start, let's talk game releases. There were no big games out last week, but the games coming out this week include The Land Beneath Us, Athenian Rhapsody, Bit Trip Rerunner, Ziggy, Chip and Charge, Awesome P3, Braid Anniversary Edition, Electronics Puzzles Club, Please Fix the Road, Time Trap Hidden Objects Remastered, Turbo Dash Kart 2024 Racing, Anime Studio Story, Musashi vs. Cthulhu, Read Only Memories Neurodiver, The Ramen Sensei, Pode Definitive Edition, Claws and Feathers 3, Foxy Rush, Not a Brain Buster, Morbid The Lords of Ire, Outbreak The Fedora Files What Lydia Knows, and Spellcat's Auto Card Tactics. Now with last week's biggest news stories, and we have 3 to cover this week. Number 1, you are all well aware. Microsoft closes Redfall developer Arkane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks, and more in devastating cuts at Bethesda. Wesley Inpool at IGN writes, Microsoft has closed a number of Bethesda studios, including Redfall maker Arkane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush, and the Evil Within developer Tango Gameworks, and more in devastating cuts at Bethesda, IGN can confirm. Alpha Dog Games, maker of mobile game Mighty Doom, will also close. Roundhouse Studios will be absorbed by the Elder Scrolls Online developer ZeniMax Online Studios. Microsoft, currently valued at over $3 trillion, did not say how many staff will lose their jobs, but significant layoffs are inevitable. IGN has asked Bethesda for comment. Microsoft declined to expand further when contacted by IGN. On Redfall, the disastrous vampire co-op game will not receive promised updates, including an offline mode and new character DLC. As Microsoft has ended all development on the game, Microsoft said Redfall will remain online to play and will provide a make good for those who bought the Hero DLC. Arkane Lyon, which is working on Marvel's Blade, survives the call, as does Bethesda Game Studios, Fallout: The Elder Scrolls Starfield, and Machine Games, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Doom developer id Software is also unaffected. In an email to staff sent by Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, Microsoft blamed the cuts on, quote, reprioritization of titles and resources, end quote. The email, verified by IGN, is below. Today I'm sharing changes we are making to our Bethesda and ZeniMax teams. These changes are grounded in prioritizing high-impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games and beloved worlds which we have nurtured over many decades. To double down on these franchises and invest to build the new ones requires us to look across the business to identify the opportunities that are best positioned for success. This reprioritization of titles and resources means a few teams will be realigned to others and that some of our colleagues will be leaving us. Here are the changes going into effect. Arkane Austin, the studio, will close some members of the team, joining other studios to work on projects across Bethesda. Arkane Austin has a history of making impactful and innovative games, and it is a pedigree that everyone should be proud of. Redfall's previous update will be its last as we end all development on the game. The game and its servers will remain online for players to enjoy, and we will provide make-good offers to players who purchase the Hero DLC. Alpha Dog Studios, this studio will also close. We appreciate the team's creativity in bringing Doom to new players. Mighty Doom will be sunset on August 7th, and we will be turning off the ability for players to make any purchases in the game. Tango Gameworks will also close. We are thankful to their contributions to Bethesda and players around the world. Hi-Fi Rush will continue to be available to players on the platforms as it is today. Roundhouse Games, the team at Roundhouse Games will be joining ZeniMax Online Studios. Roundhouse has played a key role in many of our recent game launches, and bringing them into ZOS to work on the Elder Scrolls Online will mean we can do more to grow the world that millions of players call home. With this consolidation of our Bethesda Studios team so that we can invest more deeply in our portfolio of games and new IP, a small number of roles across select Bethesda publishing and corporate teams will also be eliminated. Those roles will be impacted will be notified today, and we ask that you please treat your departing colleagues with respect and compassion. We will provide our full support to those who are impacted in today's notifications, and through their transitions, including severance benefits informed by local laws. These changes are not a reflection of the creativity and skill of the talented individuals at these teams or the risk they take to try to new things. I acknowledge that these things are also disruptive to the various support teams across ZeniMax and Bethesda that bring our games to market. We are making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games. Bethesda remains one of the key pillars of Xbox with a strong portfolio of amazing games and thriving communities. As we look forward to the future, there is an impressive lineup of games on the horizon. In 2024 alone, we have Starfield Shattered Space, Fallout 76 Skyline Valley, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and The Elder Scrolls Online Golden Road. As we align our plans and resources to best set ourselves up for success in this complex and changing industry, our teams across Arkane Lyon, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, Machine Games, ZeniMax Online Studios, and the Bethesda Publishing and corporate teams will be well positioned to build new IP, explore new game concepts, and expand on our existing franchises. Matt. Microsoft announcements of the cuts of Bethesda come over 3 months after the company announced plans to cut 1,900 staff from its video game workforce, amid a boon time for Bethesda's Fallout series following the breakout hit Prime Video TV show. The closure of Tango Gameworks hits just over a year after the launch of Hi-Fi Rush, which many considered one of the best Xbox games in recent years. Tweeting in April 2023, Aaron Greenberg, VP of Xbox Game Marketing at Microsoft, addressed concern that Hi-Fi Rush had failed to meet its sales targets, calling the game, quote, a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations, unquote. Greenberg continued. Quote, we couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with the surprise release, unquote. Hi-Fi Rush launched on PS5 as part of Microsoft's new multi-platform push in March. Layoffs are sweeping across the video game industry, with a number of high-profile studios cutting staff or shutting down. In stark contrast to a year of blockbuster video game hits, one of the biggest ongoing industry trends in 2023 was the prevalence of mass layoffs, and they have continued into 2024. While actual figures are difficult to obtain, estimates suggest the number of workers laid off in the games last year approached or exceeded 10,000. A recent GDC survey of developers suggests 1/3 of all game developers were impacted by layoffs last year, either directly or by witnessing them happen at their company. What a week, huh? What a week. I mean, there's so much to say here, right? So, obviously the heart goes out to anyone who lost their jobs, who are really scared about their current future, their families, and how they're going to support each other. It's just awful to have the rug ripped out from under you, especially at some of these studios where they had hits. So I'm just trying to be honest and real and just analyze the news stories, right? Arkane Austin. I mean, Redfall was a complete and utter disaster. Whose fault that is, it's many. But that's one that's not overly surprising to hear shut down. Alpha Dog Games, it's a mobile studio. They just bought Activision Blizzard, so they have King. Kind of a redundancy. Okay, it makes sense. Roundhouse, we never really learned too much about them since they were mostly a support studio. There were some rumors they were working on a comic book game, but they're being folded into ZeniMax Online. However, Tango Gameworks. Now, part of me kind of understands and just part of me with Tango Gameworks. I mean, none of their games really lit the world or sales on fire, if we're talking about The Evil Within 1 or 2, Ghostwire Tokyo. But Hi-Fi Rush. Xbox kept saying they wanted these smaller hits, and Hi-Fi Rush really was that game that Xbox was finally getting credit for, and won Game Awards last year. And not even a year later, you're shutting the studio down. I know Mikami left, but there was no one there, and the biggest thing was that this was your only Japanese studio. Out of all of them, I just simply cannot make sense of that one. And I don't pretend to understand the business world and how all this works, but I gotta say my piece. I mean, I've been doing the show now for 259 straight weeks. I paid close attention to Xbox for many, many, many years, and, well, this is where I'm at. I'm an Xbox gamer, and I've been an Xbox gamer since 2004, and this truly does feel like the lowest point the brand has ever been at. Now, is that heightened because of how connected we all are these days with social media, etc.? I don't know. But that 2013 Xbox that we had with E3 and the reveal of the Xbox One, TV, COD, then just getting dominated by Sony with how you share games, which was still incredible to this day, and then undercutting them on price by removing the camera while Xbox had Kinect, was real bad. I mean, those decisions and those events in 2013 is what led the Xbox brand to the current state it is at today, and what led them to be so far behind Sony. But I really don't think that in that moment in 2013, in those many moments, we didn't really realize how bad it was going to be or how bad it was. I think this is different. I think we're all very well aware about how bad this is for the brand, and that's kind of where I want to focus on. I mean, as the Xbox brand, what is the identity? And I really don't know anymore. I mean, it's been so many years of this is the E3, this is the year, this is when they're going to finally have great games. How long can we possibly say that? I mean, I've always loved Xbox because of pioneering Xbox Live and playing with my friends, party chat, the controllers, which I always just preferred over Sony and PlayStation, the consoles, my achievements. and most of the time trying to push the power of our boxes and for a long time the transparency from their leadership. But that transparency is now what got us, in part, to the slow point of the brand. I mean, how can we trust what they say anymore? And the answer is we can't. When you have the head of Xbox, head of first party, head of marketing touting how well Hi-Fi Rush did, but then shutter the studio basically a year later? I mean, what? We need a Japanese presence, but shut down your only Japanese studio? This year, their first party games going multi-platform, which most definitely is not just the 4 that already went over. And then Hellblade 2 coming out in less than 2 weeks and nobody is excited about it? I mean, for years on the show, I was telling how excited I was. And it doesn't feel like that game's a week and a half away. That's the game that you showed out with your Series X reveal of the console. I just do not know what's going on. And then conveniently, after all this goes down, Aaron Greenberg tweets their entire marketing strategy. Like, look, we have a marketing strategy. Just do the damn marketing strategy. Like, what? It's disappointing, and honestly, I feel like maybe all of this is the reason I haven't really been playing video games as much this year with my free time. I don't know, but what I do know is, at least for now, I'm not going anywhere with Xbox, nor is this podcast. I still love my Xbox hardware, my achievements, and playing all my first and third party games here. However, they really need to shut the up and deliver. Deliver on incredible first party games, because ultimately that's what we all want and care about. It's really nothing else, it's the games. And I truly feel bad for all of the Xbox studios, as the pressure and expectations now are at an incredibly absolute all-time high. They are going to get the most scrutiny. And for those upcoming, I really hope you all deliver, because now I don't know what will happen to you if you don't. And even if you do critically, but they don't get the attention Microsoft thinks it needs, which how can you really garner that up to sales when you have Game Pass and player? It's a very scary time. So Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Machine Games, with a bunch of big games out this year, Godspeed to all of you. Number 2, Xbox Mobile Gaming Store set for July launch. Tom West, their True Achievements writes, last year, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said the Xbox Mobile Gaming Store could launch as early as 2024, provided the Activision Blizzard acquisition was approved. With Activision Blizzard now under Xbox's umbrella, Xbox President Sarah Bond has announced that the Mobile Gaming Store will launch as a web-based platform in July. Plans for an Xbox Mobile Gaming Store were leaked via filings for the Activision Blizzard acquisition in 2022, revealing that Microsoft intended to scale the Xbox Store to mobile, attracting gamers to a new Xbox mobile platform. Microsoft is now ready to launch the store, which will arrive in July, but as a web-based service instead of a conventional app. According to Sarah Bond in an interview with Bloomberg, having the Xbox Mobile Gaming Store as a website ensures that it's accessible across all devices, all countries, no matter what, independent of the policies of closed ecosystem stores. Bond does say that Microsoft intends to expand from there, so a dedicated app could be on the cards in the future. Much like the current Xbox ecosystem, Microsoft is creating the mobile store to be a gaming platform and store experience that is centered around players and goes truly across devices, where you are your library, your identity, your rewards, that it travels with you versus being locked to a single ecosystem. When the Xbox Mobile Gaming Store launches, only Xbox's first-party games will be available, but Team Green plans to get partners shortly after launch, so it might not be much of a wait until third-party games begin showing up. Quote, we really want to make sure that we start at scale using our own IP first, end quote, Bond said. Quote, that allows us to make sure that the experience that we bring partners into really builds on all the quality and learning that we have as a team. Shortly after Activision Blizzard acquisition was completed, Sean said he had hoped the addition of mobile gaming giant King could spark Xbox achievements renaissance on mobile. While we had hoped that Mighty Doom would get some achievements with the launch of the mobile store, that hope has been squashed as Microsoft is closing Alpha Dog Games and sunsetting Mighty Doom. So, Xbox Mobile Store is coming. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. We knew this was part of our plans with the leaks during the Activision Blizzard acquisition. They are launching it with, surprise, surprise, Candy Crush and Minecraft, and we'll see all the other games coming. I mean, this is an obviously good move, and King was the secret, huge part of the reason for acquiring Activision Blizzard King. Everyone wants to talk about Call of Duty and that machine, but it really was mobile, so now we're going to start to see the fruits of that loom this summer. Number 3, Warner Bros. Says the failure of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League contributed to a $200 million hit to revenue. Wesley Ampool at IGN writes, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has disappointed Warner Bros. Discovery, owner of developer Rocksteady, to the tune of $200 million hit to revenue. Reporting its Q1 financial results, Warner Bros. Discovery said its game's revenue declined significantly as a result of a tough comparison with last year's best-selling video game Hogwarts Legacy. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, quote, generated significantly lower revenues, end quote, compared with those generated by Hogwarts Legacy during the same 3-month period, the company said. In a follow-up investor-focused call, Warner Bros. Discovery boss David Zaslav called the release of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League disappointing, before Warner Bros. Discovery Chief Financial Officer Gunnar Windenfield detailed an impairment charge the company absorbed as a result of the game's failure. Quote, starting with studios, the $400 million plus year-over-year decline during Q1 was primarily due to the very tough competition we faced in games across the success of Hogwarts Legacy last year in the first quarter, in conjunction with the disappointing Suicide Squad release this past quarter, which we impaired, leading to a $200 million impact to EBITDA during the first quarter, end quote, Windenfield said. EBITDA stands for Earnings Before Interest, Taxes, Depreciation, and Amortization. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was panned by critics upon launch, with extremely low player numbers on Steam. Some of the frustration stems from Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League not being another Batman game from Rocksteady, despite the fact that it's set within the Arkham universe. The developers behind Batman Arkham series is much loved by fans, with 2011's Batman Arkham City in particular held up as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, superhero video game of all time. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, on the other hand, is a live service, third-person combat game in which Batman is a villain. I mean, how surprised are we really to see this? I mean, the writing was on the wall with this game. I have never heard anyone talk about this game, nor really in a positive light. It took them 9 years to make this game. 9. I mean, they could have had 2, maybe even 3 games out in that time, which would have generated far more money. Just another example, like we're talking about with Xbox, with absolutely brain-dead decisions coming from the top down. Rocksteady, you are incredible. Touted as one of the very best developers in the industry in 2015. Stop what you're doing, making the, third-person, single-player story games. Go make a live service. Look at what that did. It's just so tiring. Are they going to finally be the last case to learn that this ain't going to work? Let's hope so, huh? Alright, well, as always, we end our show with a fun fact about Xbox, and this one is kind of dumping on the Xbox brand a little bit, but you know what? That's what this week is, so. This fun fact is brought to you by the PlayStation blog on May 9th, 2024. PlayStation Store, April 2024's top downloads. Do you guys know what the number 3 game in US, Canada, and the number 1 game in the EU was? Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves from Xbox on the top of the Sony PlayStation Store. So, guess what? More and more and more Xbox games are going to be coming to PlayStation, coming to Nintendo in the future. Maybe thank you all for listening to the Xbox and 10 podcast this week, your weekly source of Xbox gaming news covered in around 10 minutes. If you like the show, please subscribe to your favorite podcast service, share it with your friends, leave a review, and follow on all social media at Xbox and 10. This past week, as I've mentioned, I really haven't played much of any video game, but I did finally beat Pokemon Leaf Green, playing on my Logitech G Cloud in Waze, and always a Marvel Snap. My name is Brandon Rose. You can follow me on Xbox at Brosen83. Hope you all have a great week, stay safe, and let's keep on gaming.